Now, one of the revelations following Nigeria's 2015 general elections is the fact that every Nigerian wants to know what the law says. Regardless of political ideology, religious leaning, ethnic group, or educational qualification, Nigerians just want to know what the law says. And so whether we're talking about the question of the legality of a Senate that hasn't been inaugurated by Nigeria's new president, Muhammadu Buhari, going ahead to conduct an election to fill the seat of a Senate president, what exactly does the law say? Or whether in the face of a dwindling economy for the Federal Republic of Nigeria and a constitution that prescribes that the president shall appoint a minister from every state of the Federation, now 36 states in all, should the president go ahead still to appoint 36 ministers when it is obvious that the nation can't afford it? Well, hello and welcome. This is 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetomobi, and my special law series titled, What Does the Law Say? My host today will do justice to all the questions on the law that I have. Is a principal partner with Bolaji Ayorinde and Co., senior advocate of Nigeria since September 26, 2005. He's a notary public, a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, and he's active in legal practice. He was called to the bar in 1986 and remains the chairman of the 16-member board of the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria, a member of the Nigerian Bar Association and International Bar Association. So, join me after the break as I count down 60 minutes with Bolaji Ayorinde, senior advocate of Nigeria. That's great. So you are an officer of the Federal Republic. I've always wanted to know, does that come with any perks? I mean, do you get a check monthly or yearly from the government when you have national honors?
I hope not. I hope not. We are all screaming about the cost of governance.
Yes.
And if you add that to the problems of Nigeria, then the country will collapse. So it's just a recognition.
Yes.
And maybe at best you get to the airport and you have access to the protocol lounge,
Okay.
which sometimes doesn't even make your life easier, right? But it doesn't come with anything, yes, except that it's just a recognition.
Right.
I'm very happy with it that way.
So I wanted us to start with this statement that you had made as chairman of the board of the Legal Aid Council of Nigeria. You talked about legal aid not being charity,
Yes.
but a fundamental human right.
Yes.
How can you rationalize that?
The major problem with governance and the polity is access to justice. And access to justice anywhere in the world can be very expensive. That is why the state must make a deliberate attempt to give the ordinary man, the man on the street, access to justice. And that means that you have to subsidize the justice system, which is much, much more fundamental than subsidizing oil.
Yeah.
Because you need to give everybody a sense of belonging. If something happens to that man, that woman, he does not have to check his pocket first
Yes.
before approaching a lawyer, before approaching the court, before getting his rights to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So when we came on board, that was the first thing I said, that look, legal aid should not be charity. It should not be, we are trying to help them.
Yes.
It is fundamental. It is a right thing. It is inherent. So we went straight ahead to make that point, and everything we have done in the last 3 years has been towards that.
Yes.
That whatever happens to you, you have a right to the justice system.
you've made now about separation of powers also brings to the fore the fact that many Nigerians think the president has limitless powers, you know, as a fallout of what has happened in the Senate. So does the Nigerian president have limitless powers? Are his powers restricted in any way? Is there a book that lists what he can do and what he can't do?
We have a written constitution, and there are powers that belong to the president. They are listed in the constitution. There are many, but they are not all in all.
Right.
And I think the mentality of Nigerians thinking that the president is all in all,
yes,
is also historical and cultural. We will see that many Nigerian societies developed from traditional rulership. There's a Kabiyesi somewhere,
yes,
there's an Emir somewhere, there's an Igwe somewhere that everybody bows to.
yes,
And everybody will go and solve their problems. And after the traditional institutions were wind down, we had the colonialists, and it was the, in quote, the Oyinbo man that was like God.
yes,
And everybody looked up to him to solve their problems. Then we had a political experience where Nigerians took over from colonialists and continued to behave like kings and queens. And from there, it's unfortunate, we
Yes.
moved into military dominance.
yes,
And I remember as students on 1st of October, on
Yes.
Children's Day, we'll be dressed up to go and march at the stadium, up and down, and salute the military governor and all that. So you see, it's a cultural and a background thing. But thank God for democracy. Now we're beginning to evolve since 1999. Even in 1999, we had a president who was coming from a military background, and his nickname was Baba. So it's this father figure thing that gives us that mentality that the president is all in all.
Yes.
And that now waters down to the state government level where Mr. Governor is like an emperor.
within his state.
Within his state, you know, he runs things and he does whatever he likes most of the time. But these are offices with constitutional powers, and that is evolving now.
Yes.
We are beginning to see that now, that the executive, they have their work cut out for them. And you have countries that don't even have written constitutions, and they carry on, they know their limits. Now that is where the courts become very important in this dispensation. Whenever you think there's an infringement of authority, of rights, then you run quickly to the court.
And what about
Yes.
those who would say they don't have a belief in the courts because justice is either delayed
Yes.
or it's denied?
Yes.
What would you say to
I
those
would
people?
beg them to have a belief in the court. In Kenya, when there was some dispute after the elections,
Yes.
people were settling disputes with cutlasses and machetes.
Yes.
We don't want that here. So that is the only safe place you can go. It may not be something that is resolved in 24 hours,
Yes.
but it gets resolved, and that makes us a more civilized set of people.